Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, to the Star Ladder North American Playoffs. This is going to be a best-of-3 series in the upper bracket between Archon Dota and compLexity Gaming. Should be a really great matchup as we do end up seeing the first picks coming out. I'm at Lyrical Dota, joined today by Llama Down Under. Llama, are you excited about this game? What are you hoping to see here?
I'm really excited. I'm interested to see how this new lineup plays. They've played, I think, one official match already, and apparently these guys have a long history in Heroes of New Earth. But as I'm not an expert in that game, not in this one either, but I'm just interested to see how it's going to go down. But we already have Templar, Assassin, Bounty Hunter. Okay, if you told me in 6.85 the first two picks would be TA and Bounty Hunter, I would call you some names. What's going on here? I mean, they're not necessarily bad heroes, but I think this gives compLexity a lot of time to build a draft around them. And yeah, Slaughter comes out. That helps against Invis heroes. Surprise.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, Bounty Hunter, it's interesting. I think the hero can definitely make his presence felt across the map. I'm a little bit interested as well that Archon Dota ended up going for the TA there. Yesterday in the games they ended up playing against Elite Wolves, they went for a very strong Alchemist build where that was Moo playing it. He ended up doing two separate builds, one where he went a little bit more greedy, not taking any points in stun until I believe level 8, and then the second one where he just maxed out stun with only 1 point in the Grieval's Greed. And I think that hero really showed off what they're capable of doing and looking to go for a bit of a different strategy this time around. With the Shadow Fiend Slaughter picked up there, like, this is so much minus armor to contend with at the early stages of the game. I feel like they are playing the game. They must have a strategy in mind. Like, that's really what I think this comes down to, is they have something in mind and a way that they want to work this together, because you don't do this if you don't have something special up their sleeve.
It could just be, as you said, having minus armor always a good thing right now, especially since buying up items that manipulate armor are expensive in Dota, other than the medallion, which of course is a bit smaller. But also Slaughter, Shadow Fiend, early Roshan pickups, and while Templar Assassin, she can do the early Roshan too. When she's up against so much minus armor, after the refractions are gone, she melts. She typically builds, Treads, Deso, Blink. That's not a lot of health on her, so could just be that. And they even ban out the Lich. Yeah, so compLexity just wants nobody to have any armor in this game.
Well, and one of the ways that you sometimes end up seeing teams deal with the minus armor strat is to pick on up a Sven, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world in this matchup if Archon wanted to take that for their safe lane, but it does also limit your hero to a large extent, because this is a hero that in the early stages of the game needs so much to really be able to fight. You need to get a BKB up on him, because otherwise you can get kited around, stunned all up, and it just is a big problem to fight up against it. So there aren't a ton of other great heroes to work here. Maybe you end up seeing a Dazzle pick by Archon, since they do have the first pick here, but that would also leave you a little bit lacking in terms of lockdown.
And
They did already also ban it out, also, since the second time I've done that, and they pick up the Winter Wyvern instead. I like this response. Ban out the Dazzle, take the other defensive support, somebody who can deal with the minus armor problems you're going to have, and I hope this ends up working. It's also worth noting the winner of this one will move on to the Grand Finals, which is going to take place this Friday to play off against the loser of this, or the winner of the series between the loser of this series and Digital Chaos. So I said that right. I'm absolutely sure about it, and don't want to have to go up against DC there to get the final spot at the Grand Finals.
Yeah, it's also something here, the Wyvern pickup, really nice because of course it blocks all of the damage coming out of Slaughter, but one, poorly timed Cold Embrace, and that does mean that Shadow Fiend will raise down peeps. We got an IO, and if you were thinking that compLexity weren't going to run the IO with Vlad moving on, you were wrong apparently. So I'm interested to see what they'll pair with it. I think everybody's heard of the Tiny combo, but this could just be you would be running a safe lane Tiny then. You can always put the Shadow Fiend in the safe lane as well. It does make him getting those jungle stacks a bit more difficult.
One hero that could work in this draft really well also is if they wanted to either take the Sven for themselves, or if they wanted to take the Bristleback for themselves. If you've already got this much minus armor, being able to double down on that Bristleback with the extra physical damage that comes out would be very, very potent. Now, the other thing here is that I like the IO pickup. There's a lot of catch that comes out from Archon, and relocate, being able to keep somebody alive if there's a Winter's Curse on top of them, or also just the overcharge, generally being able to diminish the amount of damage that's dealt. It's super, super potent in these team fights, and I am a little bit concerned about the IO's ability to deal with the bounty hunter if the bounty jumps on top of him. So that's going to be something that complexity need to be cognizant of. As long
Complexity's
as they have good
turn to pick.
positioning, I don't see it being a huge problem, though.
At the same time, Wyvern's considered a good counter to Io because, of course, you relocate in. If you Winter's Curse the Io, whoever he's paired up with instantly kills him pretty much, since he's that squishy ball of light. And as you pointed out, Bounty Hunter strengths, you get tracks on a few people, the bouncing Shuriken, just because these heroes need to stay together, and Shuriken has a huge AoE. But I think, as you said, if you can overcharge the right person, they're not going to take too much damage. Is Doxia? Yeah, he'd already been banned very early on. Because I was going to say, if Archon also got a Doxia here, I would be terrified. But of course, already banned out by themselves.
Yeah, not wanting to go in that route, and they do end up taking the Spirit Breaker. I'm a little bit surprised by this. So, Spirit Breaker obviously combos really well with Io, but you talked about there the danger of Winter Wyvern being able to Winter's Curse on up the Io as the relocate comes on in. The thing that I was wondering if they were going to just play this IO much more built around being able to overcharge up somebody, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Tiny's still just sitting there for the taking, although Archon do get a chance to ban him out here. To me, what this tells me is that they're much more concerned about being able to get the healing that comes from the IO, the fact that, you know, all the other defensive supports have already been taken out. If Io just sits with the Shadow Fiend up on the, like, think about once this game gets to the later stages, maybe your Shadow Fiend gets a mech, or maybe you're able to push that off onto somebody else at this point. If he gets an Aegis on top of him and is slowly starting to beat away at the enemy tower, if Io is also on top of an Aegis, overcharging him on up with a tether, they're not going to be able to kill him.
Yeah, and something else to mention, while we might not know what the exact game plan is, I think it's really wise to leave exactly what's paired with that IO till the last pick so that there's less possibilities of countering it. If it's the Tiny, maybe Archon tries to pick a hero that can kite it well. You know, if it's the Chaos Knight, you can say, hey, we know we're going to be dealing with some illusions. Can we do something around that, like maybe the Earthshaker offlane? By putting up the Spirit Breaker, you haven't revealed too much, and this hero, again, if he can be mobile, he's going to be able to get easy kills on the Templar despite her meld. You'll be able to keep track of where the Ember Spirit's going because, of course, Remnant doesn't break charge. It's really nice.
Yeah. With the Clockwork ban there also, this tells me that they're probably... I'm wondering if it's a bristleback now. I just don't know. They can go so many different ways with it, and because it's so flexible, I think that they can wait until the last pick here and probably have a couple of different ideas for what they want to take. In terms of Archon and what they need to get now, they definitely need an offlane hero. Several of them have already been banned on out, with Tusk being gone from the pool also. I think... I mean, Slardar is already taken also by complexity. There isn't a whole heck of a lot here for them to be able to be taken. Is there anything in particular that you favor in this draft?
I feel like, as you said, again, Archon have had all of the, or very popular this patch, a lot of offlaners being banned. They could try for something untraditional. I like their lineup with a Magnus, and I was not, no way I'm even going to pretend I would have thought of an Elder Titan. I mean, there are a lot of jokes about Elder Titan being forced out of the meta because of the nerfs he was receiving after he saw, I can't remember which patch exactly it was, but he was picked up a bunch by folks. And I mean, yes, there's some AoE combo here. I guess you can do a stomp into a Winter's Curse potentially. Also, that natural order does help out everything you've got going on, but I'm not...
Well, it's also a good counter to the Tiny if they do end up picking it, because Natural Order is really great against Tiny.
Oh, and the relocate. You should be able to set up reliably the stomp on top of the relocate, I believe.
No, definitely. I think this is another not often thought about response to the IO, and being able to have, you know, the Earth Splitter. I always want to say Split Earth, but it's Earth Splitter this time around. Super creative with their naming, but nonetheless, the Echo Stomp always going to be potent. There's a lot of setup right now, and if you think about the way this is also lining up here, Winter Wyvern, maybe you end up Winter's Cursing a relocate on in, Echo Stomp into it, and then afterwards, if TA is in the area, you've got Psyblades as a follow-up. So all of these things, I mean, if you get even one Psyblades off with a TA, it's going to deal so much damage. And with the Winter's Curse, you can get those Psyblades off, but you've got 70% reduction. With an Echo Stomp, you don't have that problem. You're at least going to get one solid salvo off.
Yeah, also, as you mentioned, just Natural Order is going to be amping everything up. There is, as you said, potentially some great synergy, but it's something we haven't seen for a while. I'm sure Archon wouldn't pick it if they hadn't tried it, and I'm excited to see it. Nice, innovative pick. Now, for complexity, we're going to find out in 4 seconds. Quickly call a hero, Lyrical. Oh, too late.
I said Brewmaster in my face.
Yeah. Oh,
No,
Excellent.
I didn't. I didn't
Wow.
actually.
No, I was like, wow, it was really not. I thought maybe it was one of those things where I'm thinking about the Elder Titan so hard, and you said brew like 5 minutes ago. But yeah, this is a Chessie hero, and I'm excited. I don't know if there's gonna be like extra synergy because he loves the hero, but we just saw Brewmaster have a rough time.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this game looking for him?
Well, I guess that this is going to be the safe lane brew, which I don't love unless they're putting. I mean, Limp and Chessie have been somewhat interchangeable in terms of their roles. Yesterday we did see Limp in the mid lane the majority of the time. Handskin, Io. I don't love their draft. But that being said, I also don't love Archon Dota's draft. Both of these
Wow.
drafts are just so clunky. And because of that, I don't have a
How is
clear
that
indication
really
of who I
feel?
like more. I mean, obviously they know what they're doing. They have clear ideas for what they want to accomplish. And the other thing is that these teams, I think, know each other pretty well. And because of that,
Well, they know each other pretty well until there was, of course, Handskin, Limp, and Chessie now. Well, Handskin and Limp, kind of the newer two additions since Chessie's been playing with them for a while on compLexity. I feel like that might throw a wrench in the works. How often do you think Archon got to scrim teams across the pond,
that's a
big
good point.
river, ocean?
Well, Fluff and Stuff here is going to be placing on down some wards. He's going to be playing the Bounty Hunter for Archon. We do have Monkeys Forever on the Elder Titan, the endangered species of Elder Titan picks.
Wait, it's Monkeys Forever Elder Titan? That is a core Elder Titan then.
Yeah, I think that's what that is, and maybe just going to try and get those items that allow him to have the initiation for that ET. Moo is going to be playing Templar Assassin. We have Whitebeard on the Winter Wyvern, and last but not least, Jayo is going to be playing on that Ember Spirit.
So for compLexity, roles making a bit more sense. We've got Swindle Melons on that offlane Slaughter, Z-Freak of course on the support, Spirit Breaker, Handskin on the IO, Limp on the Shadow Fiend where we're not. It's looking like he's going to be mid because we got Chessie on the Brewmaster headed down bottom. Now I'm really interested. Elder Titan, I mean, if he gets farm, he's nothing to slouch at, even without farm, just with the way that the Astral Spirit interacts with giving people damage. Or giving himself damage as it passes through units. He can hit like a truck with that stapler gun or briefcase, whatever you're into. He can be really strong. I'm just really surprised that they put him on core, and yeah, Monkeys Forever. Head down bottom. I'm just used to, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I was thinking maybe the Bounty Hunter would get a bit more farm. But yeah, offlane, Elder Titan, going to be showing his stuff.
A rare breed, not something that we often see there, and Whitebeard going to just be hanging out here in the mid lane a little bit, trying to help out. Handskin's going to be here with the Shadow Fiend as well. So going to be a decent amount of regeneration. Hopefully Limp here is going to be able to toss in out those early raises. And the thing that's interesting about this is maybe now as a Shadow Fiend, you don't have to invest in that early bottle and you can go quickly into the whatever item he wants to go for here.
Yeah, additionally, you've always got someone who's able to stack for you and someone who can ferry your bottle for you since you know there's going to be a bounty hunter around and you probably don't want to be letting your crow die before it gets flying.
Yeah. The crow before it ends up going down. Beautiful butterfly killed as a caterpillar. It moves move slow as that as well. So now Whitebeard's actually roamed on up to the top lane, considering it's the dual off lane of Z-Freak and Swindles on the Spirit Breaker and Slaughter respectively. And a third hero roaming on up as the Bounty Hunter wants to try and get in on this action. I don't know if they find a kill here. Ember Spirit hasn't sealed up anything yet. We do have the Orb of Venom up on the Bounty Hunter, which is relevant. And it looks like they're going to start jumping on top of Z-Freak. They get the crush onto Jayo as well as the Winter Wyvern. Z-Freak continuing to get chased out here. He does have another chains. That's going to be committed now. Z-Freak dropping really low. I think this might potentially be very bad. Never mind the turnaround. Swindles with the very, very nice crush is going to be committed on to Whitebeard as well as Jayo. And now just going to have to back on out as creeps are in the mix. And a very hectic early game in the top lane here.
Yeah, I have to say, all things considered, they're probably very happy on compLexity. Z-Freak lived, and Swindle, as you said, that big slithering crush in the creep wave. He used up a bunch of regen on these heroes, and Fluff and Stuff chilling up here. Still not level 2, which is what you expect, while both the Spirit Breaker and Swindles have hit theirs. So now Spirit Breaker can be a charging menace, and as we say that, Chessie's doing some good work onto Monkeys Forever.
I don't know, though, because you take a look at the last hitting so far. It's 8-2. He's been able to get a lot of damage taken away with this Astral Spirit every time. Currently hitting for 112 a pop. This is nothing to mess around with. They do end up getting the stomp down on top of him, though. Maybe going to be able to find this kill with Hansen coming in on top of the Tiny, or with the IO. Sorry, so common we end up seeing those two together. Aren't able to get the tether slow, unfortunately, and that is going to be Monkeys Forever just walking away from this one. Not able to get that last crush. Handskin diving deep. What are you doing? He has the haste rune. That
I
was
mean,
close.
I think he actually could have maybe gone for it, but of course didn't want to, yeah, take that spirit, get punched down. Unfortunate as well, the positioning there. Really good job of juking into the trees. It made it much more difficult for the IO, as you said, to get the tether slow off despite having a haste. So, bit of a rough ride there, and Fluff and Stuff going to give some more harass onto Swindle, just slithering crushes and walks it off. So, now looking in mid, Limp is definitely not. He's a little bit behind the Templar Assassin, but he's going to have catch up farm. Or he was, if they hadn't missed this D ward. Am I saying this right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit
Just
unfortunate.
yeah, off the mark. So happens. And actually Swindle's never mind. He was playing a little aggressively up top, wondering if he wanted to go in, but has, just a mango, so has to be very careful when he uses that.
The other thing I'll mention that's kind of an interesting little dynamic here is we do actually end up seeing the Bounty Hunter run on into Handskin. He does have a tether, so he should be fine. There's the charge back in a second time. Currently do not have any dust to be able to relay the Bounty Hunter. But what I was talking about there is the Swindles on the Slardar is going to be able to phase movement through all of these heroes when there is any possibility for a body block. That's the change that ended up happening recently with Slardar that I think really made his offlane potential so much more effective. Chessie is low down in the bottom lane. He's going to have to back on out now with only a stick charge and the potential for another Astral Spirit to come out as well as an Echo Stomp, but he's really the closest to being able to get killed here with the first blood.
And now, as you say that, never mind, they walk away from each other. Very, very boring. Templar Assassin actually picks up a DD and just really immediate to run away from the Spirit Breaker, realizing he's not getting it and doesn't want to be there. Now Limp in the mid lane, he is doing very poorly. Io has come back, healing him all the way up. That's very kind of the Io.
Io doesn't have overcharge right now though, so isn't going to be able to heal him through this if there is a bit of a return damage. Moo might be able to turn this one back around with the rotation on it. Now this is just going to be Bounty Hunter sitting here trying to take on out this Courier, but they realize the inherent danger of the situation, end up backing on out the Courier, doing the little doosey-doo, and they aren't going to find it. Meanwhile, Swindle's top lane is going to get hit with the Splinter Blast. It does look like they're going to be able to finally catch him on out. Mango has been committed at this point, but not going to be able to get away. Crush in 1 second. He does actually end up finding that 14 HP, and he gets away. Really well played there by Swindles in the top lane.
And the to me, one of the most interesting parts of that is Jo actually opted for more points in, first of all, Searing Chains over more points in Flame Guard, and also just the casual point in the Sleight of Fist. We see this, some players prefer it. It helps them, as you saw, get that stun off. But so close to killing Swindle, and he just manages to slither away the sprint, doing mad work. And now Chessie gonna know that Fluff and Stuff is down here.
They actually, I think that Fluff and Stuff missed off of that. It looks like he did end up getting the dodge chance proccing on the Brewmaster, and otherwise that would have been a kill. Janata was up and missing yet again. A little bit unfortunate there that they're not able to get that, but certainly could have gotten a kill with Monkey's Forever. There's a charge on bottom lane. We also have a little bit of action up top. We'll come back bottom in just a second, but Whitebeard is going to get crushed, not going to be able to have anything else besides just interrupting that pull ever so slightly. And
the charge is going to be seen by that ward, so actually cancelled. And the ward expires as he runs over. So I'm not quite sure who saw what there. But now let's see. There's going to be a fight at the bottom rune. A lot of people coming in. It's regen for Moo. But of course, there are a lot of heroes here. And they have the charge coming up. They're burning through the refraction charges. They're all gone now. And Moo needs a hand. There's going to be one raise, two raises. They just need a few more auto attacks. But she pops that regen. And I think she might be out. And now they have to turn around, deal with the Bounty Hunter. And they don't know. Oh, they do have a dust on them. They go for it, but, sorry, they go for the raise. They have not popped the dust yet, and if they stay around here too long, you're gonna suddenly have a bunch of heroes converging on you, because you are pretty close to a tier 1. Wyvern's coming in, Z-Freak is being stalked up, and I think he's gonna be Arctic burned and dead. So he's gonna try to...
He has a charge away. He should be okay here. That's a little bit scary. The other thing that's worth noting is that as we do end up having a little bit of a battle down here, the Brew split has been committed. Now Echo Stomp on top of several different heroes. Monkey is going to still go down here, I think, though. Does get the extra movement speed as well as bottling up through it. Might be able to survive. He actually has ridiculous movement speed. Is going to get hit by that stun in the end, and I think that Z-Freak finds him here. Another Echo Stomp a second time, keeping him alive against Chessie. Z-Freak now needs to run away from him. I kind of felt like there's an option there to turn back around. Also mentioned in that mid lane, when that fight was going on, the Templar Assassin ended up using the regen after, or with the proc still coming on, and it ended up getting broken, I believe, by that Orb of Venom. So kind of unfortunate there.
We're 7 minutes in, still no first blood. A lot of really close calls, if you've mentioned. And something I want to point out as well, Fluff and Stuff, he's still level 2. We see this a lot with roaming heroes, but really low levels coming out from some of the supports in this game, just because both the Spirit Breaker, the IO, and the IO are roaming constantly or stacking, and also Fluff and stuff. He's actually going to leech some experience off here. He pops the Ghost Walk again, so they know that he's there. And again, trying to use a sentry, or not a sentry, an actual obs this time to make sure they can't keep stacking. But yeah, he finally hits level 3. There we go, Fluff and stuff. And yeah, no one's going to know.
He's also going to come on in here and block off this other camp, so not going to be able to get any of that. ET gets the illusion rune, heading on back towards the bottom lane. Top lane, I mean, the story really of this game, I feel like, so far, is how much this Ember Spirit has been able to, a large extent, been shut down.
Bottom. Yeah, Chelsea's taking quite a bit of damage. The Janata does manage to proc this time. It's going to slow him, but we've got an IO immediately there, healing him up. And again, another gank averted, but will it be the turnaround? We've got one raise coming out of Limp, but they can't catch up to Monkeys forever. We mentioned this. He's so fast. And I did not think this when we initially got into this game, but there are a lot of really hard to kill people. So
yeah, it's definitely kind of crazy that ends up happening. Of course, also now, Mu is going to be able to take on out these Ancients, trying to get whatever he possibly can. They don't realize that this is going on, so the catch-up mechanic is going to be working for Archon a little bit, although TA hasn't really been behind, has not been able to find the same farm that the Shadow Fiend is in his jungle. But another hero that can go on off to the Ancients and take those on out. So far, farming war. We take a look at net worth, 3,800 on the TA, 3,700 on the Shadow Fiend.
She was under with the stack. She was about maybe 500 gold behind before that, and just surpasses the Shadow Fiend by taking the stack. So, and then of course the Ember Spirit's the next one up. Now we do have amp damage coming out of Swindle Melon, so this does up the kill potential for compLexity at the very least, and maybe we'll see something happening. Because while TA did get a big stack, she's still nowhere near finished with the Deso. This charge, there's gonna be a Thunderclap coming out. Monkeys Forever goes for the stomp again, but the split has come out, and they're finally stunning him up. Z-Freak's gonna wake up at some point, doesn't get the bash. He's fast up into the air. Can they fight Mu as well? They should finally be able to get the first blood. Monkeys Forever, he's so fast. One more auto attack will get it. There is our first blood. The Windbander is trying to get away, and it should be just fine. And Chessie back into Brewmaster form.
Oh, that was a really good play there. You think about the way that he did that. He committed the stone throw and then afterwards tossing him on up into the air until the toss was back up again and was able to secure that kill. Really heads up play there. But Fluff and Stuff is now soaking up levels. He does need to be careful because he's somewhat vulnerable out in the open here at only 100 HP. Like if Spirit Breaker charges on in, even if it's through the TA there's a chance that they could have found that kill.
Yeah, it's something where I feel like I was, some of the Spirit Breaker games that have gone on in Star Ladder earlier, it felt like that there had been more impact, but this one's really rough. There's a lot of escape mechanisms. We already talked about how tanky the Templar, the Elder Titan is. Templar Assassin, of course, has refractions. Ember Spirit's got so much backup in the top lane. I'm just really hoping Z-Freak can find a way to make this work, because playing the Spirit Breaker from super far behind is rough. Although this game looking like a nice Lotus Orb, an okay Lotus Orb game, so he might end up being that guy.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Chao continuing to farm on up. Is getting charged in the top lane. We'll see if they're able to find a kill here. I don't think it's going to end up happening. You've got Whitebeard in the area with Cold Embrace.
Also, charging on the tower, the Searing Chains have a wide enough AoE that you don't even always get your charge off. So, and in the jungle, Bounty Hunter is stalking up Limp, but of course he's not low. So, working out. He's going for the mech. So that tells us something about this lineup that's maybe arguably a bit worrisome. We discussed Brewmaster, how we're not sure about his carry potential. You know, he's in this safe lane. It does feel like if your SF also goes for the mech, that's not the big farming right-clicking build. You will probably get a Sandra, not Yasha afterwards, but it's not nearly hitting as hard as the, Helm of the Dominator into crits build or something. And we have a Searing Chains on Swindle. Is he gonna... Oh, he gets the Slithering Crush. He's actually turning to fight Jo because the charge is coming through. Jo's gonna take quite a bit of damage here. He still has that Flame Guard active, but of course all of their damage is physical, and he's gonna Remnant away.
Nicely done there to be able to create that separation. I think that you get one bash there on Z-Freak, and that's a kill because you have the follow-up crush that was going to be able to come in afterwards. But TA's in the area now, does start to work towards her Desolator. Only about, what is that, roughly 1,600 gold away from finishing it off. as we do have the remnant back in by Jayo. The tower goes down, and that's sort of by function of the fact that the TA did end up leaving the lane, and now they really need to be able to find a kill here, because otherwise you just lost the tower for nothing. Swindles looks to be getting away. Z-Freak dropped in low, but this is just going to be a support Bounty Hunter, and with the mechanism coming in last second, that's going to be a kill on top of Moo. Swindles continuing to try and chase here. I don't know if they're going to be able to find this kill. On the back line, the Bounty Hunter was trying to see if he could find somebody on the escape, but 2-0 start for compLexity in a really, really slow game. 1 kill every 6 minutes.
Yeah.
It's been incredibly slow.
It's really interesting as well because it does feel like a bit similar to the Lost series, especially with this itemization. As long as Archon can hold it out, I think that they have the late game. I mean, Templar, Assassin, and Ember Spirit feel like they outscale Brewmaster and Shadow Fiend, but of course Brewmaster, similar to a Doom, he's kind of a different beast because he might lock down some of your carries. Even after they get BKBs, he can be a real pain, especially as those get shorter. And if nothing much is happening, compLexity is just starting to kind of pull ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Net worth wise, we're taking a look at it. 2,000 in terms of experience. It's about a 1k lead. Key items, we did get a soul ring that was finished on up for Elder Titan, so he can continue to spam on out those abilities. He does end up getting a decent Echo Stomp on top of Handskin, but not a whole lot else besides that. And now looking for their moment to jump on forward here. He does have the extra movement speed, dealing 180 damage per hit if he's able to find it. But
Swindle is going to find Whitebeard, goes for the Slithering Crush, but immediately the Cold Embrace. He can't damage her, but the rest of the team sure can. And Z-Freak gets stomped. Really well played from Monkeys Forever on that Elder Titan. It's been really part of why this game is so slow, I'm not going to lie. A number of ganks stopped by that guy.
That's the power of him. He does what he needs to do when it needs to happen. And that Echo Stomp was right on the very edge. That definitely would have been able to at least be close to a kill. And that's really, I think, what they were looking for out of this hero. There weren't a ton of other great offlaners available for them. They needed somebody who was going to be able to keep the pressure off of towers, keep the split push back, and you don't want to have to fight into an ET. That Echo Stomp sets up the rest of your combos so effectively. Also, I mean, imagine at this point when you get to the later stages, as we do continue to see a crush on top of the Ember Spirit. I think he gets out of here. That was just a Chessie clap, actually, and Bounty Hunter trying to soak up level 6. As you get to the later stages, an Ember Spirit critting on top of, like, a 3-man Echo Stomp or something like that. That's the dream right there.
Agreed. Now, I want to talk some more itemization because I feel like this is a really interesting one. We don't get to see much Elder Titan. I mean, you know, we all know exactly what Ember Spirit's going. Let's not touch that. But Elder Titan, who is being relocated on, he is being bashed. The Nether Strike coming out. Can Slaughter get in range? He can. He has a blink, and Monkeys Forever going down again. Stomp or no stomp. So, quick kill there. You're an Elder Titan. What's the skill build? I've seen 4 stops on some folks. I've seen people build up stuff even like Yules. I've seen that one before to help them land the stomp, but this is an offlane Elder Titan who's maybe getting a bit more farm than most, and there's going to be some action. Oh, I thought there was action bottom, but actually the blink away from Chessie.
I really like the idea of the Force Staff. I think that being able to get away from these types of ganks, fluffed in a little bit of damage here. They're not going to be able to catch onto the chains either, unfortunately. They're not quite hitting that one. And now we also have a charge on top of Fluff and stuff. I don't think that they find this kill. He's going to run away from this one. Should know the Spear Breaker is coming after him. But yeah, to me, Force Staff is pretty decent just to get into position to be able to land that if they want. Oh, they're going to continue this charge. Oh, getting bashed on up by Roshan, though.
Maybe a good thing.
They took it away.
Maybe a good thing. I'm not sure that was the charge to go for. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. A hero we're not super familiar with. Maybe he's building up drums. He does have a bracer. He can be an even faster race car. And looks like Urn being finished on Fluff and Stuff soon. Now, Fluff and Stuff, he is still not level 6. It does feel like Bounty Hunter more than ever really needs that track just because it's been nerfed so much. You need the track to start having some game impact, and running around the map 16 minutes in, being level 5, really rough for his entire team, and we can see it in the experience growth.
You know, the other item that I was just thinking about that wouldn't be the worst in the world, if he is going to start going for stacking up these auras, why not make him utility? Go for the mechanism after you end up going for the drums, if that's going to be his build on into this. And all of those little things, maybe a Vlad's eventually, they can make all the difference in the world. But actually, we do have a drums already finished on the Ember, so maybe not going to be the item.
Maybe just a casual bracer. It could be, and it's also possible some teams run 2 drums. I've asked some players about this because I've seen it in very high level games and they're like, drums are a good item. Either way, this smoke from compLexity, not gonna latch. I think they're doing another... Oh, never mind, as we see the catch out on Jo. Do they have the lockdown? They don't need it because they have the damage, so Jo falls to the ground as a dead ember. I was gonna say, I felt like Archon has been doing a really good job of sticking together in groups such that they're avoiding the relocate. And as I say that, more people going down, and Primal Split as well, charge coming through. Whitebeard's not going to be able to get his ult off. Elder Triton tries to go for the stun, manages to get it on Handskin. And there is a nice Earth Splitter, but now TA, she is the one in trouble. Fluff and stuff, he does have that track up. Moo, he's doing a lot of damage to Swindle Melons, but he's being locked down, and a Requiem of Souls dropped right on top of him. And now Fluff and stuff, do they have detection for this? It's already been blown, but Razors don't care about whether you're invisible or not, and Monkeys Forever, the lone survivor. Ember Spirit's back, but I think he should just go farm somewhere. And this should be the end of the fight. 7-0, 18 minutes in.
God. Yeah, this has been the story. So 2,000 net worth swing, as well as 2,100 experience. They, despite the fact that Spiritbreaker didn't get a ton of farm early, the fact that he can initiate like that, get the charge off, he's gotten level 8 now. I think that he was level 7 going into that fight. It makes all the difference in the world, just being able to disrupt away those little combos, have any type of lockdown as well, because you saw the Requiem of Souls come on out there. It's so much damage, and if you've already burned through the refraction charges with the Orb of Venom coming through on the Spirit Breaker, you're going to be able to just rip her apart. The minus armor is just working right now for them, and compLexity is looking in such a good spot. Let's take a look at team net worth. It's, yeah, 5k shooting up towards 7,500. Experience is about 5k net worth lead as well, and maybe we're going to be able to see Archon turn this one back around, but I guess this is also one of those situations where compLexity, their draft is formulated around being able to fight and win engagements early. But we're looking like they're going to be going for this Roche Pit, and I don't know if Archon are going to be able to actually take this.
Well, they do have really good Roche Pit fight, but I think unfortunately both teams have what I like to call whoever's in the pit loses, as Fluff and stuff is maybe going to die to Roshan.
Oh no.
So, no, maybe that's on purpose. He doesn't want to die. It's the fake out. They now think they are exiting the Roche Pit. He is charging Roshan, and Templar Assassin just deletes Slaughter from the game. He buys back immediately. Brewmaster has taken out the Wyvern, and now we're going to be seeing, is there an Earth Splitter available? It does look like there is, and he's going to throw it down at them. This is going to be a beautiful Earth Splitter. It should completely stop that team fight, unless they want to go in for more, which Swindle does. He bought back for something. They've got a charge coming out onto Jo, but he just, Remnant's actually just over to above them. Probably wanted to go down instead, and now he's going to have another Remnant away, but they have full vision. They've tossed up in the air this Elder Titan, and Panda's staying still, but Jo, he's gonna get Blunk on. Requiem of Souls on top of the Elder Titan, and while they have gotten themselves on the board for Archon, they are losing, I think, a bit too many, but Moo should be able to escape here, and that should be the end of things. They still have a tier 1 to take.
Yeah, they are not afraid at all. That's what that IO gives you, the sustainability in those team fights. Slaughter did buy back, but they still ended up coming out on top on that one, about 600 gold. So, and you know, you relocate to a certain extent, like, all right, that's a great part of the IO kit, but this is what I was talking about in the draft, is that that doesn't have to be what this IO is all about. Really, to me, it's about the overcharge. It's about being able to dive deeper than you would be able to otherwise. The mechanism now ends up working double for them, on depending upon the hero that you throw it on, because you're going to be able to heal on up from the hero itself, and then also the IO healing themselves. So I think this is really the hero that brings it all together. Limp currently 10k on him, 3,000 ahead of the next highest, which is that TA.
And she's been farming really well as well. I mean, I don't want to downplay this. The Templar Assassin isn't doing too shabbily in a game where her team only has 1 kill to their names. She's got 400, sorry. I was looking at experience, never mind, her farm is a little bit lower than I thought. But she's still at 350, and this Ember Spirit, I feel like they've got a problem there, because he was definitely having a solo farm lane, and it seems like he's fallen off greatly. Limp's gonna take some Arctic Burn. He's gonna destroy a wood. I don't know if this is exactly where you want to be, especially considering he doesn't have something like the Aegis, and they just relocate him.
Yeah, they just relocated away from the Echo Stomp. They got him out of there. That probably would have been able to be a kill if they didn't end up doing that. But they are just going to be coming right back to where they are now, and that was a really good defensive relocate there.
Yeah. So, a nice job, but just showing that compLexity, they have a lot of damage, and as you said, they're ready to fight, and Swindle's, again, being in a dangerous position. I think they see, they 100% see him there. He's just gonna go attack a creep wave. Jo might be able to go on him. The rest of his team is pretty far away, and they know the relocate is down, but this is just Roche Pit posturing. Oh, and who actually got charged? Geo's
He was
fine.
able to dodge it with that sleight of fist. Now hands can separate from the rest of his team. Are they going to be able to get the Echo Stomp onto 3? Splitter or Splitter coming in as well. Moo's jumping on top of Swindles, trying to chase him down, but the rest of his team is kind of off to the other side. Jo is going to end up getting taken out here. That Ember Spirit does end up falling buyback by Handskin. He does not have relocate for a little while now as Swindle runs away from Moo as well as Fluff and stuff, but that's lifting him up into the air. Dispel Magic should be coming out in just a second. Able to get away from that, but not for long. The refraction charges or not, that is still going to end up being a kill. Chasing on after this ET. Swindles is going to find him. He's really low. You need to be careful on this one because he can just turn around and hit him. He's going to be hitting for 230 damage a pop. If he gets one hit onto Swindles, he's pretty close to dead. Looking for the possibility for another Astral Spirit. Jumping on after Swindles. Not going to be able to get the Echo Stomp. That's going to be a kill as Z-Freak picks that one up. Mega kill streak for them. And moving on into the Roche pit. This is going to be Roshan going down. compLexity 13-2. This is exactly what we're going to be. Oh, the steal. Is it going to be there? Nope.
Yeah, and she didn't even have Winter's Curse, already had been used. I have to say compLexity being very liberal with these buybacks, but I love it. It's doing so much work for them. I don't think I've seen a team in recent memory. I mean, Swindles had that, I think, 17-minute buyback maybe, and now another one just coming out of the IO deciding, hey, we really want to win this team fight. Roche is a super important objective, and we can push more towers, end this out before the Ember gets big.
They really need the IO there to be able to make it happen. Jo is going to end up getting hit. Very nice stacking of the stuns. Able to make it almost perfectly, but it didn't end up working out. It's not often that you end up seeing the sort of nice combo where you get the full duration of the Spirit Breaker stun into afterwards a perfect crush. And it almost was able to come off there where they were able to get him perfectly, but not going to be able to get that kill on the Ember Spirit, that very elusive hero.
Yeah, and now that I've finally done some looking up. Most common item on the Elder Titan is, in fact, as you mentioned, the mech, but also close second, the 4-star Mules that we talked about, BKBs. I think he's making a second drums or a blade mail, or I mean, look at Elder Titan's items. It could just be drums number 2. As I said, not awful to have 2. I'm just a little surprised.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where now you can have a bit more. Well, he's going to have the extra movement speed. That helps a lot. And also the fact that he's starting to run out of item slots a little bit. He wants to be able to keep several of these. Echo Stomp is going to be committed now. The tower does still fall, so they're okay right now. DD up on the Shadow Fiend. He's hitting for about 300 a pop, and they weren't ready to fight on into that one with that up. So as for now, everything's still kind of standing pat, but it's starting to feel at this point like Shadow Fiend can just walk on up to the high ground with IO behind him, keeping him overcharged, and then they're going to be able to start taking tier 3s.
Yeah, slowly but surely, compLexity. I mean, we talked about how slow this was. We didn't have First Blood for about the 10 minutes, maybe even 12 minutes. And it feels like after that, though, compLexity has started a slow but steady snowball. They're 12,000 gold and experience ahead. We're 25 minutes in. That's a pretty big lead, and it's not insurmountable. They could make a mistake high grounding, but if they play it safe, if they just push in this tower and then push in this tower, I think they're good to go. Maybe wait the next Roshan, depending on how long that takes, but Ember Spirit, he still needs a lot. I mean, does he have any components of the Battle Fury? I don't think so.
Well, I really like what we're seeing here from Moo. As you talked about, the Ember doesn't really have much as far as his Battle Fury goes, but Moo definitely needs that Blink Dagger on up before they end up getting into a high ground fight, because if you get out of position on this TA, you're just going to end up exploding, and because of that, you know, you don't have the quite the damage yet out of Ember Spirit. They are going to be able to cancel that charge from Z-Freak. Maybe going to be able to find the kill on the back of it on Jo. Definitely going to be able to take on out Fluff and stuff as Spirit Breaker picks that one up. But now you're going to be able to get the Blink Dagger up on the TA, and getting out of here also is just going to be really important. So they're starting to get their components slowly but surely. They've got the heroes to make the comeback happen, especially if compLexity don't build off of their advantage. But now that Shadow Fiend has his Aegis as well as 4,600 gold, I think this next item, once they get it, is really going to be sort of backbreaking.
Yeah, Jo also, he has 270 gold a minute. His game got really rough after the laning phase, I guess is the way to say it. I remember when I was looking at the CS chart, just before the 10-minute mark, he's right at the top of it, and now no such luck. And I'm not sure that this Blink Dagger on move, it's obviously a great item. It gives her extra maneuverability, but it's not the TA that we're used to seeing where she can just blink on someone and destroy them with a Meld Strike. She's going to have to use this probably defensively, maybe to pick off people in the back of the fights. Even then, sure, you get the IO. Some of these heroes on complexity are getting more than strong enough to stand on their own.
I don't think that there's a better option though, honestly, because like the key to these fights is to take on down the IO at the start of them.
Yes.
If you don't take out the IO, you're gonna lose the fight, and there isn't any other way to do that, as we do see a shadow bladed Spirit Breaker coming on in. Is going to be able to take on out. Ooh, actually going to find on out the Templar Assassin. So the Orb of Venom burning down through those refraction. Limp is here as well. Does end up getting Echo Stomped, and Zephyr has to disengage at this point. There's going to be Chessie jumping forward. Broom Split has been committed. Monkeys Forever starting to drop low with the Cold Embrace that the Raze is not even caring about that. So the creep wave is starting to move on over towards the mid lane here. They're lifting on up into the air. This Ember Spirit not going to be able to get it, unfortunately. There's the turnaround Winter's Curse, but it's just on to Limp, holds him in place, and there's nothing more at this point. What are you going to do with that? So Elder Titan dead, no chance for an Earth Splitter. Io looks to be in a good position. This fight is looking great for complexity.
Yeah, and that was a Desmo Meld Strike. Normally that's something we see that does quite a bit of damage on someone, and it seemed to just tickle Swindles. I mean, Slaughter, he's got an Ogre Club, but Slaughter isn't thought of as a terribly tanky hero, so this is looking really rough for Archon now. As you mentioned, Saving Grace, when Elder Titan's back, he's got some good wave clear, and Wyvern does have things like Splinter Blast, Bounty Hunter when people are sieging you. Super doable to track them all up and get some sort of vision, and he's maybe making an Orchid or a bunch of different things, I'm not sure. But I don't think that's necessarily bad. If they can get some sort of lockdown, even if it's just silences so this Broom Monster doesn't split, it puts them in a much better position.
Yeah. Weren't able to quite find the kill over there on the TA. She did end up blinking on over into the trees and then getting on out of there. I think that they caught just sight of her, or of the Spirit Breaker charging in with the Shadow Blade right over here by this Sentry Ward.
Yeah.
And thankfully was able to get out of there, but Ancient's being stacked on up. Shadow Fiend already has the Scotty as well.
He got
as
it
the
like 2 minutes ago.
Yasha, he's where he wants to be. 1,500 net worth on him now, and Chessie's going to start building on into what I'm assuming is going to be an AC as well.
Yeah, and yeah, probably an AC. We saw a Lotus Orb last game. I'm not sure if they feel like they need it right now. And as you pointed out, Limp, he has like 570 GPM. That's pretty big, is the technical term, I guess. He is huge right now, and it doesn't matter at this point that he went for the mech. He can like casually decide to sell that. Maybe the IO will go pick one up, because the IOs, you know, this poorest support in the game, still doing pretty well. Has a Ghost Scepter.
But Slaughter also has that BKB too that we talked about earlier. So
yeah.
I actually like the Lotus Orb better now that you're saying that. It makes a lot of sense to me to be able to lay that on top of the Shadow Fiend as we walks on up towards the high ground. Just keep that extra little bit of potential damage that could come out from them off of him. Being able to reflect that Winter's Curse seems like the best possibility they have to get back into this game is just a well-placed Winter's Curse on top of somebody. It doesn't matter who it is. Of course, you need to be able to know who's going to get Winter's Curse before you cast it, and if you end up getting the IO Winter's Curse, that's really how I feel like this game turns around for complexity.
At the same time, the Winter's Curses we've seen, as you pointed out, have been a bit underwhelming. We have a charge Zephyr doing it invisibly. He's also going to use the Nether Strike. Chessie is here, but J.O. he should just be able to Remnant away. And do they know that Fluff and stuff is here? It doesn't look like they had sight on that. Chessie, you need to not overstay your welcome here. There's going to be a Spirit chasing him. He should be able to... Oh, the Spirit's quite fast. It's a light fellow. And Chessie's going for another charge onto the mid. Yeah, he's not going to have that one connect, but a bit shocking there. I can't remember what we were talking about. Something about Io.
Io getting Winter's Curse on up with the Lotus Orb. I don't know if that's what he's going to end up going for here, but well, actually, we're having.
I mean, he just finished something, so oh no, it's the AC. Holy cow! He is also big, and now whoever is out here, oh look, Wyvern, you're being charged up. He doesn't realize everybody can see you. He was just trying to reward, and that's going to be a crucial part of Archon's defense going down.
With no buyback, that could be game right now if they just sort of force the issue. I don't know if Archon are really going to have what they need to be able to fight up against this. This is going to be pretty much the last ditch ever here. Throwing out the Echo Stomp into a Earth Splitter, but regardless, you don't have the Battle Fury up as of yet for this Ember Spirit. They get a nice little initiation. They're slowing on down Limp and Chessie, but they can keep on hitting away. With the low respawn time, I guess Winter Wyvern's going to be back up in a second. There's the overcharge up that I was talking about from Limp. Another chance for an Echo Slump is going to be committed now. Handskin is separated from the rest of his team. Chessie dropping pretty low as well, and this is going to hit onto Limp. Slowed on up off the back of it, but honestly, you mech on up, you go back in,
Yeah,
round
double
2 in
mech.
just a second or two.
So they also might poke their head into Roshan. It's a slightly shorter than average respawn time, of course. Oh, and Swindlemelons does. Just take a look. They can take this so fast with Presence of the Dark Lord and that amplify damage. So suddenly things looking rough. I mean, we don't normally see offlane slaughter. Fourth highest net worth goes for a slithering crush. Just testing the waters there, I think. But yeah, I'm not sure. Archon, okay, what can they do to get out of this? Obviously, you're still trying to buy time. You, one, hope complexity makes some bad pushes. You also have smokes available, 3 of them. Even if you have to commit the Winter's Curse to only kill one hero, as you mentioned, if it's that IO, if it's one of those core heroes where they maybe don't feel comfortable sieging high ground, but suddenly your chances of smoking looking slim because you're smoking into an Aegis, and I don't know if complexity lacks the discipline to, stay together for this push.
I almost wondered if it might have been worth it to try and go for that contest. TA had enough to maybe go for the Chrysalis there, and you do have a great Roche fighting lineup. Like, they were all grouped together there. Winter Wyvern could have come on in potentially with the Winter's Curse. It's so much harder now because they're not going to be grouping together like they were inside the Roshan pit. So, I mean, you've got a 19k net worth Shadow Fiend at this point. I guess they're waiting for the Battle Fury up on Ember and just trying to go way late game, but 17-2. What else can you say in this game? 20k net worth lead, as well as right around 17,000 rather experience lead. Limp has 3,200. He can probably build into a Satanic now if they wanted to.
Yeah, and maybe he's probably gonna go damage. I don't know. It's really gonna depend on what he wants. He's picked up the Helm of the Dominator, so you're right. That could just indicate casual Satanic, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, hey, maybe a bit more damage, although of course there is an IO, which can always help your damage output. I think for Archon, it just felt like everything took too long to happen, and then complexity snowballed. I don't even know if it's that the Elder Titan was a bad pickup, because I feel like he stopped so many things from going wrong in the first 10 minutes of the game that he was doing fine, but now just the impact doesn't quite feel like it's there, and Archon, he should be amping their damage. Doesn't feel like Archon has it. Limp's just standing there, sieging away. Gonna get that range barracks right down quickly, especially with the minus armor aura coming up from the AC. Oh, these buildings don't stand a chance.
I mean, at this point, item selection, it kind of doesn't even matter, as we do end up seeing the jump forward. Brew Spit committed for this one. Fluff and Stuff is going to end up falling in just a second or two. Brewmaster gets that kill. TA trying to do everything she can to fight against this, but they don't really have the ability to do it. Nice Battle Fury, doing a good amount of damage. But again, it's into a Shadow Fiend right now with probably right around 3,000, not 3,000 HP as of yet, but is going to be building into that Satanic next, and he's really just unassailable. But
additionally, so many armor auras, and now ice armor from the creepy dominated. Like, this guy's effective HP may as well be 2k. I haven't done the maths, folks, so don't quote me on that. But with the way armor works, he's 67 physical damage resistance. Oh, sorry, only 66 now. He switched his treads around.
Well, here's the Satanic.
So he has gone. It's kind of a funny way. They're far enough ahead that I don't think it matters too much. I know some folks aren't a fan of both the Satanic and the Scotty just because you don't get a bunch of damage from either. But at the same time, he's just going to stand there and pound away at you. IO going to speed him up, and they're going for another Rax. They've even got a ward down because they know that they're going to lose this tower. And Limp, he still has quite a while. 2 whole minutes on the Aegis.
He also hasn't revealed the Satanic yet. He's keeping it back here on the Courier, which is kind of a nifty little move to, they think that they're going to be able to take him. I guess that maybe is just keeping the Courier over there for a second. I was wondering if that was really worth it to be able to not reveal that and potentially get bursted down, but there isn't a great way to burst down the Shadow Fiend here. He's just too tanky.
Exactly, and I feel like, he's just going to stand here, he's going to seek the high ground, he has the Aegis, and he knows that, as you said, he's really hard to take out. Even with Templar Assassin, I mean, she just meld struck him, hit him a couple times, she even got the nice MKB proc, and it just doesn't help, he's full health again. So this is looking really rough. Templar Assassin's going to do what she can in this lane, but it looks like we're probably seeing complexity unless they make a huge mistake, working their way to 2 Raxes, and looking like a game 2 is going to be in the works very shortly.
They end up jumping forward, catching on to Fluff and Stuff yet again. Going to be able to get the Brew Split committed. That's another very dead. Bounty Hunter, Jo is going to end up going down. Double kill for Chessie, making this Brewmaster work. It's going to be able to get another kill onto Monkeys Forever as he ends up being the ET, trying to do anything that he possibly can. Good game, well played, ends up getting called as you continue to see just the broodlings run all over the place. So
So Limp didn't even attack heroes in that last team fight. He was pounding on the racks, while as you saw, the Brewmaster baby pandas, or I don't brewlings, they with the AC wiped out the bounty hunter. So yeah, not unfortunately the most even game and arguably a bit slow in the beginning, but then complexity rolled, I think is the way to say that.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys very much for watching Game 1. Hoping to see a little bit of a closer competition in Game 2. Of course, winner of this one is going to move on to the Grand Finals, looking for that coveted spot into the final Starladder LAN that's going to be taking place later on this year, I believe. So stick around as we move on into Game 2. Hopefully, we end up seeing Archon bring it on back. And stick around, guys.